We'd like to hear about your journey since you said you have many years to confess about. So let the confessions come forth. Tell us a bit about your journey, how you got into this career, what inspired you to do this career.
I wanted to become an engineer, but an electrical engineer.
Ooh.
Because my brother was actually studying electrical engineering, and those were the only options I could see. Then I went to go and write a test, like an entrance test, but while I was walking past this department, there were people standing there, and I asked them, okay, cool, why are you guys here? And they're like, no, this is computer programming. I was like, okay, I don't know anything about this. Went in, wrote the test, came out, I was like, oof, I probably didn't get in. A few days later, they called me, they're like, oh, Mr. Masiko, you've gotten in.
Wow.
Then I started studying, but that first year was tough. First thing was, I didn't know how to use a computer. In those first few months, I was failing miserably, and I just kept at it, and eventually I started grasping it, and then...
Hi, and welcome to yet another episode of the Success in Color podcast. I am your host, Michelle. Joining me is another wonderful guest, and he'll be introducing himself for us, Mr. Monde.
Hi, so my name is Monde Masiko, and I'm the head of product in the engineering space.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. So could you take us through what a typical day as yourself would be?
Okay, so typical day, almost like every day is different for me. Yeah. But I would say in summary, I look at I'm always at the center of the company, the customer, and the engineering team. Engineering team being the software developers. So what happens is business needs a problem to be solved. I need to then solve the problem for the customer. And with that solution, I need to speak to the engineers for us to then deliver a solution that will help the customer and the business.
Awesome. That is such a beautiful analogy. Can't get lost with that one. Thank you so much for sharing that. So for my high school students who are watching this, what would you say would be the subjects that they need to prioritize when they choose in grade 9?
Okay. So I think English, mathematics, and physics. Those three are kind of like the core subjects that you'd need to prioritize in order to kind of be successful in this space. Yeah. But within product, it's not only mathematics and physics, because some people can get in through it via marketing, via social sciences. It all depends on basically once you've graduated, what area are you interested in? Because in this field, it's quite broad. You can work in a company that does finance. You can work in a company that does purchases online, offline. It's a broad range. You then choose what you want to specialize in.
And your avenue then determines what subjects you need. That's awesome. So after high school, there are obviously processes you need to go through, the application process and obviously the registration process as well. So could you, based on your experience, tell us how that would look for a student wanting to pursue this career?
From my side, I went through the technicon. I mean, that also now tells you my age, but I went through the technicon kind of avenue.
Yeah.
There's 4 streams. There's a person going to university where you can study computer science, a person going into technicon / your DUTs and your UWCs. And then that's the route I took. There's a person going into a college. And then there's the self-taught online courses where you teach yourself how to build apps.
Yeah.
That's kind of the avenues you can take. I took the technicon route, and that route I went through NAFSAS, got my funding, and then basically studied through them for 3 years.
Hey guys, hope you're enjoying this video. Just wanted to take 2 seconds to say thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting us. And if you do find value, if you do see the impact that these videos can create, do share it, do like, do subscribe. And if you're really feeling motivated, if you want to be part of this journey with us, consider donating. There's a link below. You can do a once-off commitment, or you can get in for the long haul and support us long term. Thank you so much for supporting us. enjoy the rest of the video.
That's awesome. And that actually leads me to my next question with regards to the funding. So, our students also need to know what funding opportunities there are, particularly. So, outside of NSFAS, do you know if there are any other funding opportunities for them?
So there are funding opportunities within certain corporates, like your FNBs have these programs where you basically apply for funding or a bursary. And I think technology and engineering is kind of a big thing on their end. Sure, it's been a long time ago for me, but I think those are the kind of opportunities. If you kind of speak to a few corporates, I would have to just, I haven't researched this one.
No worries. So I
Yeah.
think the basis would be for them to just then, because I mean, it doesn't take much to go to a corporate company and just ask, are there any funding opportunities? This is what I want to study. I mean, that could also be a way for them to explore and find out what bursaries are available. So thank you so much for that. And then furthermore, we'd like to hear about your journey since you said you have many years to confess about. So let the confessions come forth. So tell us a bit about your journey, how you got into this career, what inspired you to do this career, if it was forceful or not. Tell us all the juicy details.
So my journey started off, I wanted to become an engineer, but an electrical engineer,
Ooh.
because my brother was actually studying electrical engineering, and those were the only options I could see.
Okay.
Then I went to go and write a test, like an entrance test. But while I was walking past this department, there were people standing there, and I asked them, okay, cool, why are you guys here? And they're like, no, this is computer programming. I was like, okay, I don't know anything about this. Went in, and funny enough, they were writing a test on that day. Wrote the test, came out. I was like, oof, I probably didn't get in. A few days later, they called me. They're like, oh, Mr. Masiko, you've gotten in.
Wow.
Then I started studying, but that first year was tough.
Okay.
First thing was, I didn't know how to use a computer.
Wow. Serious.
And then you get an assignment that you have to do on a computer. That is also done in Microsoft Word.
Oh my god.
And then you had to submit. But during those days, we're using floppy disks.
Okay.
But
I don't know what that
is. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's that's how I got into IT. And with IT, then I started. I think the biggest thing there was that because this was a huge challenge for me, and my peers were much further ahead from me. It took me about 6 to 7 months to kind of,
adjust.
But even in those first few months, I was failing miserably. And
But you kept at it.
I just kept at it. And eventually I started grasping it. And then second year got better, third year got better. And that's kind of how I got into the field. And then, I think from there, I then started looking for a job after my graduation. And the funny thing there is, and this is a lesson that I've learned in life, is that at my grand's place, so I used to live at my grand's place with all my siblings. And what used to happen at home is that if you weren't working and you stayed at home, you had to cook for everyone that was, working and going to school. So I was like, flip, I'll need to find anything. I'm not going to be sitting at home. So I went to work at this one factory. And what happened there was, while we were working at that factory, there was this one guy who always used to buy a newspaper, and he saw this one job for an IT guy. And from there, I applied, and that's how I got my first job. It was at a marketing agency. But the lesson there for me was that don't just sit there and expect, a job to come to you. You literally need to get out and do anything. So that was kind of like the lesson for me. And then from there, I started moving, and there I was an engineer, basically doing websites. But while I was also in my part-time at home, had a little computer doing websites for different companies like marketing agencies and stuff. And that's where I honed my skills. University and technicon gives you the foundation, but you need to take that and in your spare time, work hard at just honing your skills, because when you apply for jobs, it's not just your university degree or certificate that people look at. You need to basically different to whoever else is applying. So those are the things that made me, I would think, different compared to the other applicants.
Absolutely. And I think earlier on you mentioned that your journey is kind of an evolution. So you started at a certain point, but you kind of worked your way up. Can you maybe give us a bit of an explanation on that?
Cool. So started off as, I mean, I keep referring to an engineer. It could be also a software developer. So in certain cases, it's people that make applications.
Yeah.
Whether it's an app that you have on your phone or an application that gets used in a corporate environment or in a company, that's what I started doing. Then from there, I moved into product management. So now what product management is, you sit between, as I mentioned before, you sit between the guys that build the actual software and the company that wants value out of the software that you're going to build, and then the customer. So I translate what the business needs to what the customer can use into what then the engineering and the product manager needs to build. So you're always in between the business, the engineering team, which is the actual software developers, the QA engineers, and then the customer. So that's kind of how my world evolved. But in there, I also had a mentor who I was developing under him, and then he saw something in me, gave me an opportunity to then go into product. And then from there, I then went and studied a UX course. This was just a UX course from some international company, which is, what is it called? Human Factors International. That then gave me a stepping stone into becoming a better product manager, which what that course really kind of speaks to is how do you design and develop things from a customer-centric approach. So in all of the applications that you build, you need to be able to always think of the customer first. And that for me kind of then moved me from let's say a level 1 to a level 4, if there's levels in this game. But it changed my career. Like from there, I could understand things much better. So that's how I then moved in. And then from there, head of products just became with experience, I guess, because as the company grows, you then start hiring the first person, and then even there, you have to learn now how to impart knowledge to this person, and then you just keep evolving.
And that also helps you with communication.
Communication, and then presenting, and just making sure that whatever you communicate, it can then be understood by people that you're speaking to. So yeah, it's been a journey. I mean, I believe that I'm a person that likes to keep to themselves, but in this career, you need to be able to talk to different people from different walks of life and be able to almost like drive a solution through, even if it's difficult.
Yeah, you kind of have to tough it out.
Yeah.
Awesome. So my next question, I'm burning to ask it. I hope I ask it correctly. So what did you learn about yourself outside of not wanting to be the one at home cooking for everyone?
I think what I learned about myself is that I never give up. Where there's an obstacle, I'm always there to find a way. And I think in life that when you see that obstacle, I'm waiting to kind of get through it or walk around it or, bulldoze through it. So it's one of those things where when life is tough, you gotta just keep going, because you will get to that end goal. And that's what I've actually learned about myself is that perseverance.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Perseverance, and don't be at home to cook for everyone. All right. Thank you so much, Monde. Last thing, are there any words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our students who are going to take on this very tough decision of choosing a career path?
I think I would say no matter what your circumstances are or where you are in life, what gets you to that destination that you might not even know is that decision you make for yourself to get yourself out of where you are to where you want to get to. That's probably for me the first thing. But also luck just doesn't happen without you having to do something, right? You need to prepare for luck. You have to work towards a situation where when luck comes through, you're ready to, execute on that dream you've always had. It's the same concept analogy of like if you win the lotto today and you hadn't written down your plans, you're gonna waste that money and end up where you were in the first place.
Before, yeah.
So it's almost like you gotta dream first, but then take that dream, write it down, look ahead and say, okay, cool, how do I get to that? And then break it down into steps, and you, without fail, everybody can get to it.
Awesome. I was making this joke for our viewers with Monde earlier, and I was saying that, well, not a joke, I was stating a fact that all our guests come here with just one statement and it completely blows me away. And Monde felt pressure, but let me say, sir, you knocked it out. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all of those gems, and also that words of wisdom. Definitely going to take it for myself too. I pray that we'll see you soon again on this platform, and all the best with your future endeavors.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching. Bye for now. If you found this content valuable, you are more than welcome to give us a thumbs up and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also find us on TikTok as well as Instagram, where we share some more interesting content about career planning and beyond. Thank you for joining me with the Success in Color podcast. My name is Michelle, your host. Bye for now.